Hello, everyone. I am Ruben. I am from Zcoin. We are a privacy cryptocurrency. So basically, we have launched in since 2016. We were the first ones to kind of pioneer the sort of blockchain privacy systems where instead of mixing with other coins, we kind of pioneered the use of the burning and redeeming method. So what that actually means is that because remember in blockchain, every single transaction is linked to different addresses and all sorts of stuff, and that's actually what breaks your privacy. And why is that actually a problem? The problem is that when you make a payment to someone, you are effectively giving information about yourself. For example, if I have 100 bitcoins in a particular address and I pay someone, let's say for a cup of coffee, that person who received whatever coins from that address now knows that I have at least 100 Bitcoin. Now, if I just look even back in the history, because remember in Bitcoin, every single coin has its entire history totally visible and public. I can start actually drawing a lot of inferences about how much you earn, where you get your money from, who you transacted with. And we think that this is one of the fundamental problems in blockchain technology. You want to have transparency, but at the same time, there needs to be the same type of privacy guarantees in like traditional finance. So that's what we're trying to solve here. And how Zcoin's method in how we solve it is basically we allow people to destroy their coins so they stop existing, and then later on they can redeem them for brand new ones with no previous transaction history. And that's actually achieved using what we call zero knowledge proof, which proves that you have burned the coins before. We started with the Zero Coin protocol, which is not to be confused with Zero Cash, which is used in Zcash. We then moved to something called Sigma, which actually is a much improved version of Zero Coin with no trusted setup using basic cryptographic building blocks, which is really good. And we've actually really excited with the new privacy protocol that we've developed with our own research labs called Lelantus. And Lelantus is named after the Titan god of being unseen. And later we'll talk a bit more about that. We are quite a small, lean team. We have a team of 19 people with more than half of them developers, some researchers, and 6 operations, including myself. Quite a global team. So I think I'm the only one that kind of followed the format. So we're going to show how Zcoin is funded. So basically, our our entire development team is funded from the block rewards. We take a dev tax of 6% of the block reward, and that's equivalent currently to 12,960 roughly Zcoin per month. And at current depressed prices, that's about 71,000 US dollars. So it's relatively lean, and this is just kind of like the breakdown of how we actually spend. As you can see, 46% of it is mostly the development. There's something in operations, and you can see 13.1% is like miscellaneous, which is basically paying for integrations and things like that. So it's quite a lean team, and we have actually achieved quite a lot considering the budget. So just a bit about the block reward distribution. So obviously we are a proof of work coin, but we also have master nodes as well. And this is just talking about the distribution of how it works. So currently you can see that miners have about like a 56%, Z nodes about 30%. The founder gets 2%, seed investors 6%, and the development reward gets 6%. So this is the current the distribution of things. And after halving, which is coming in about September 2020, that founder rewards and development rewards totally cease, and the miners get 70% and Z nodes get 30%. Now, originally, when we started Zcoin, we were kind of like optimistic. We thought that after 4 years of development, we would have achieved sufficient traction to, let's say, work on a donation model similar like to Monero. But this hasn't really panned out, and we are still, for the moment, the development still really relies on our centralized team. There are discussions on our forums, which is ongoing. We welcome anyone who who cares about our coin to contribute what should be the distribution. Currently, like we're thinking about having a dev reward of between 10 to 15%. Community seems to be positive about it, but we want to hear more feedback on that. Right. So let's talk a bit about what we have done in the past, especially 1 year on our privacy tag. So in about July, we released what we call Sigma Privacy. And Sigma Privacy is actually a development from a paper by Jens Groth, and it's called One of Many Proofs. And previously, it was thought that this protocol wasn't that scalable. But we actually managed to optimize it really further, and it has really good properties. It allows this burn and redeem mechanism, and it doesn't require trusted setup. So I don't know if anyone's familiar with Zcash. Zcash, is using zero-knowledge proofs. And what they do is there is actually what we call a trusted setup ceremony, where a bunch of people have to get together and destroy certain initial parameters. And if that's not destroyed, coins can be forged. So it's effectively, you can see it as like a backdoor. But this type of constructions do not require it. And we're seeing really good take-up of this. There's 95,000 Zcoin that has been gone through this process already. But what's really exciting is Lelantus, which is our next-gen privacy protocol, which further expands on the Sigma privacy protocol. And it's actually being treated very seriously. So anyone who knows about privacy coins has heard about Monero, has heard about Mimblewimble. And now, coins like Monero, they're starting to realize that the privacy technology, especially when blockchain is permanent, may not be good enough for the next few years. And they are actually thinking about how do we scale the privacy solutions even further. So for those of you who are familiar with Monero mixes with when every single transaction, it mixes with about 10 other people or so. And that doesn't really provide very good privacy. So now they're thinking about using our technology to scale to ring sizes of 1,000 or more. Beam is also thinking of something similar. So we've been actually, our paper was accepted to present at one of the crypto conferences. So we're really excited about that. And a lot of researchers are starting to look at our technology over there. And it's homegrown, totally by our own research team. So just, for those of you who are privacy, enthusiasts, you can take a quick look. You can see that Lelantus performs very well in comparison to the competition of leading privacy coins. So it's a very high anonymity set, no trusted setup, good proof sizes. So it's just good performance all around. We can check that later. Now, one of the most important things is that we've been criticized for having a Qt wallet, which is the basic Bitcoin wallet, which has a lot of people say that it doesn't give a good user experience. We've been working on that, and we have a new GUI that simplifies it and encourages people to use the privacy system as well. There's already a beta release out. You can download it from our GitHub, and it's totally there. Now, in terms of development, what are the sort of near-term goals that we're looking at, right? So now we've just started on our mobile app development. We do have mobile app support, except that it doesn't support our privacy features. We're working with Edge Wallet, which is an awesome wallet, open source, and we're hoping to have the privacy system integrated into that. We expect it to take maybe another 3 or 4 months to release that. We also have a core upgrade and a Zeno infrastructure. So, we're thinking of using LMQ chain logs, which comes with Dash. And what that actually provides is 51% attack protection. So, with proof of work, we are vulnerable to 51% attacks. And as a smaller cap coin, the miners not necessarily always behave honestly. So having the masternodes further secure that is a great improvement on that. We have also something almost complete in another 1 or 2 months or so. It's called the Exodus Smart Asset Layer with Sigma, which actually allows people to issue tokens on Zcoin's blockchain for whatever reason. And the best thing is that it has privacy built in so that you can use the privacy features by, just out of the box without having to build complex smart contracts on that. And that has really interesting applications. For example, if I want to build a voting system and I want people to be able to vote anonymously but verified voting, then I can use zero-knowledge proofs, use our technology, issue a token just for that election, and carry out very cheaply on Zcoin. So that's really good. Another thing that we're looking at is receiver address privacy. So one of the problems is in Bitcoin is that we tend to give out the same address. Or let's say if we publish a public address on the website, if I take a look at that website, I can tell exactly how much this person has received in donations or receiving. And that's a big privacy risk because I want to be able to publish my address publicly and put it somewhere, pay this address, but I don't necessarily want to reveal how much I've actually received unless they really want to. So what this actually does is that I can publish a public address and payments can come to it automatically. And what happens then is that people can pay to it, but they can't actually see how much this particular address has collected. So it is a very good privacy feature as well. So what have we been doing on the adoption? I mean, we can build all these fancy toys, but if there's no one using it, there's really no point. And that's been a real criticism, I think, of maybe 90% of blockchain projects. We build all these fancy toys, raise some huge amounts of money, only to just speculate and talk about the next future. We need to have real-world applications. And as mentioned before, we in like November last year, we were actually like the first blockchain to be used in the political election, where the Thai Democrat Party actually used our blockchain to elect its party leader. And over 127,000 votes were casted on the blockchain nationwide. And that was like, a pretty momentous occasion. The results were ready within a few hours. No one contested it. And it was like a real step forward in getting blockchain voting working. That's why we're also developing that, Exodus token with Sigma Privacy to allow other people to do this in a very easy and cheap fashion. And of course, we're not talking about using this for national elections. When we're talking about national elections, stuff becomes a lot more harder because you need to verify from the hardware layer, the software layer, and that's a lot of stuff. But we're talking about, let's say, like internal company meetings, or you just want to survey your community. These are great ways to have anonymous but verifiable voting. Because a lot of other like blockchain voting systems is transparent, which is horrible. If I can tell who has voted which way, there's no point in this voting system. So that's a really exciting development. Another thing that we did just, I think, last month, which is an integration with a national QR code system. So Thailand actually is quite at the forefront of this. They have something called PromptPay. And PromptPay is a Thai QR code system that is in very, very wide use. Almost half the population has a PromptPay account. And there are about 5 million merchants and rapidly growing every month, actually. So there's about 5 million merchants right now. So we actually have, our founder actually also owns an exchange. There's a beta app released. And what happens is that this will allow you to spend Zcoin at any of the merchants that accept Zcoin. And that's any of the merchants that actually accept PromptPay, which means like you have 5 million potential merchants that you can spend your Zcoin to. Now, one of the problems with crypto adoption, especially in payments, is that merchants do not want to learn how to use a wallet, learn how to deal with volatility, learn how to register for an exchange. And that's a real hindrance. And the way I got into Bitcoin was, when I was running my VPN service, was, I was a privacy focused. People were saying, if you're privacy focused, why don't you accept Bitcoin? And the first thing I asked was, can I convert Bitcoin to cash? Because obviously this Bitcoin thing was funny money to me, right? I didn't know what it was in 2012. And I feel that you need to go through that process of saying, okay, I'm going to accept Bitcoin, but I'm going to convert it back to cash first. As I get more confident, like, hey, I'm getting regular payments in Bitcoin, the price is holding up, there's value to this thing. It's not just like some fancy money. Then I start thinking maybe I don't want to convert anymore. And I think that's a more realistic way of getting long-lasting adoption. There's been many other projects that actually have tried to do like adoption in the sense that get merchants to sign up a wallet, accept the crypto in its native form. But what happens is that after a while, maybe they only get like one customer every 2 months or 3 months. Their employees forget how to use it and the adoption just drops off. So plugging into a national QR code system, it's not ideal, it's not totally decentralized, it's still a centralized system, but we see it as a first step to get like nationwide adoption, people comfortable in using cryptocurrencies. So we have it's usable in live right now. There are some quirks, some QR code systems not completely supported. We are working through these quirks, and there's actually going to be a box mining video out later today that expresses our successes and some fails as well. So it'll be a pretty interesting, realistic video that you can take a look at. So yes, you can find out more in zcoin.io. We have a really, vibrant Telegram community that's also linked to our Discord. And if you want to find out more about our privacy protocol, it's at lelantis.io. So, if anyone has any questions about Zcoin or, what we're doing, I'll be happy to answer them.
Thank you so much, Ruben. Thank you very much. Let's give him a round of applause. Okay, so now, ladies and gentlemen, the floor is open. If you have any questions for Mr. Ruben? Have a question behind there? Any questions? Okay, no problem. Let me ask Mr. Ruben a question. Now, actually, if you guys check out our social media feed, CoinGecko, we actually have this live. So we have a lot of people actually asking questions right now. And one of the questions that was posed for Ruben was this. If projects like Monero and Mimblewimble coins like Beam are looking at Zcoin's tech, Lelantis, and implementing them, what would be Zcoin's advantage?
That's an excellent question, because obviously all the tech that we develop is open source. Even all the papers that we do is like public for everyone's knowledge. But the way Monero is actually implementing it is different than us. So as previously mentioned, like Monero is thinking of increasing its ring sizes from 11 to maybe 1024 or so. It's still like a decoy type of structure. The way that we do it, we think is superior in the sense that we destroy the coin and redeem that. That means we totally break the transaction links. Mimblewimble is also thinking of like Beam is also has a prototype built on our technology, Lelantis, with some modifications. And I think it's a good illustration. Like everyone thinks that Mimblewimble is perfect in privacy. It isn't. It still has some weaknesses, which they're trying to address with Lelantis, our technology. But there are also some fundamental differences, because Mimblewimble has some drawbacks, such as requiring wallets to be online, and there's the interactivity there. So I do believe that we've kind of cut a nice balance between usability and privacy. So I do think there's there is room in this space, especially privacy. Would say is one of those pure crypto applications, and there's enough room for all of us to develop. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. We have one question here at the front. The gentleman, hold on, sir.
Hi, Ruben. Hello. So could you tell us a bit more about the integration with PromptPay in Thai?
Yeah, sure. So in what aspect do you want,
Is it just used for payments, for example? Are there other applications that you're considering with the QR code?
Currently, we are just looking at just for payments, and how that's done is because our founder has a regulated exchange in Thailand, one of the 3 exchanges which has this license. And what that happens is that people sign up, and it just gets converted to Thai baht, and then Thai bahts get settled to the merchant, right? So it's just like a seamless end-to-end thing. So it's centralized for sure. Right.
And what kind of information is the QR code encoding?
The QR code encodes basically it's the bank account and the national ID. So I would say it doesn't provide any privacy for sure, but it's just like a step to make it usable, like a credit card or so. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Sorry, can I get your name?
Oh, Jonathan from Tardigrade Tech with NUS.
Okay. I love tardigrades.
There you go. You have a fan. Okay. Any other questions? Gentleman in white.
Hi. I'm also Jonathan, but from Hong Kong. Can you share with us more about how you're going to deal with the redemption and the issuance aspect? Because if it's privacy focused, wouldn't it transfer the weak point to that process? Because the foundation or the Zcoin company would have all the information about who redeems and then issue to who. How do we address this issue?
You're talking about the smart asset layer, or you mean just the privacy system in general?
Privacy aspect, yes.
Okay, so this is really, we don't know. We don't have any control of it. It's a totally cryptographic protocol. And when you burn the coin, it just you actually make a commitment to the blockchain, but it's a cryptographic commitment, like a Peterson commitment. But what happens when you redeem the coin? It's not done by us. It's actually a zero knowledge proof, a mathematic proof that proves that you destroyed the coin before. without showing which coin that you destroyed. So okay, let's say like you destroy coins, right? And then any one of you then show like kind of like a receipt that I burned coins before. This receipt allows me to, the protocol allows me to redeem brand new coins to the same amount that I burnt, but without actually showing which coin I redeem, and that's done through mathematics. Yeah. So it's nothing to do with us. The protocol is public, and just from the math alone, you can't really tell. Yeah, that's right.
Thanks.
Thank you. Any other questions from the floor? No? No questions? Okay, well, this is another question that came on our Twitter feed. Now, privacy coins have been subjected to regulatory scrutiny recently. Do you think Zcoin will be affected?
I mean, definitely. We're seeing a lot of regulatory concerns with governments explicitly or soft banning privacy coins. I think this is kind of sad but inevitable. Like I think one of the common things that I find really sad is that privacy coins have been used as a scapegoat. Like I think the most common like the example was be like in Japan, where there's a coin check hat which NEM was stolen, and no privacy coins were involved in this hack. But what happened then was they banned privacy coins in response to that as a scapegoat. They had nothing to do with it. So of course, like yes, governments, it's not actually that they're against anti-money laundering or whatnot. I think it's because privacy coins affect their ability to control, their power. And how do we play around this? I mean, the first thing is that, yes, we are not saying that use Zcoin for illicit activities. And that's why we feel that positioning ourselves that we have voting applications, working with political parties to show that privacy is not just about, like money laundering and things like that. Privacy actually, if you take a look, like with all this, I don't know if anyone's watched Netflix, The Great Hack, it's now, people are being more aware that we need privacy as a basic human right. And that's really sad in Asia that we aren't seeing this, because digital payments, e-wallets, WeChat Pay, Alipay, everything is like replacing cash. But at what cost? Now, these companies and governments have full knowledge of who you're paying to, how much you have. And I think that's a real problem. And I think one of the really interesting things is Germany. Germany is a country that is really, really advanced in almost all aspects, but they love cash. They refuse to move towards digital cash. Why? Because they feel that the ability to have private physical cash is a check and balance to governments. Or like government overreach and dictator stuff. So yes, obviously, if people want to ban us, there's not much they can do. But I would argue to say that if you ban us, we're going to go to DEXs, to all sorts of P2P exchanges. There will be always a jurisdiction to do this thing as long as there's a demand. What I think would be a more wise approach for regulators is to accept that this is going to be really hard to control, but the way that you can limit the damage is by actually making the regulated exchange support these privacy coins. The regulated exchanges require KYC, require AML. And if all the liquidity and all the large amounts is trading on that exchange or all this regulated exchange, you're not going to have to worry about all these money laundering concerns. But if you ban it, it just goes totally underground. So I would say that we have to embrace that this technology is here to stay. I mean, even when Bitcoin was first started, the governments also reacted the same way. So hopefully they'll come to their senses.
I'm pretty sure they'll come to our senses soon. I mean, there's something really interesting. So you mentioned just now that you got involved with recent elections in Thailand, right?
Yes, correct.
Right?
Yeah.
So just something very interesting I just came across while I was reading about Zcoin. So can you share with us more about how you had used Zcoin to help provide aid to flood victims in Iran, a humanitarian effort by Zcoin?
It was not actually started by us. We have very little to do with that. So what actually happened is, Iran is suffering from very, very widespread floods. They're affecting huge, like few 100,000 people of their population, and people lost homes and stuff like that. But donations haven't been able to come in because of sanctions. U.S. has sanctioned Iran and all this type of things like that. So a bunch of crypto enthusiasts in Iran, they are actually like quite well known in the Iranian circle. They say like, why didn't I just start accepting crypto? And they say like, okay, we'll accept Zcoin, and just a couple of $1,000 was given to their effort, and a lot of them were actually through our private transactions model, which we thought was particularly interesting. I think it's an interesting use case. I wouldn't say that, wow, we're so happy that we're being used to bypass sanctions, but it's and all these proceeds are going to be given to the Red Crescent, so it's not as if we're funding terrorism or things like that.
But that's a really good story to share, right? Okay, we have time for one last question. Anybody? Is there another question for you? No? No? Okay, well, if not, then Ruben, thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for sharing us more about Zcoin.
Thank you very much.
All right. Up next,